Hello and welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. We are here in the guest segment of the show today. It's been a good show so far, let me tell you what. But now joining us is the famous Scott Gerard of the Fitchburg Star. Always appreciate him taking a little bit of time out of his very, very busy schedule to come and get us updated on various things that happen in council meetings, things happening around Fitchburg. They always have the scoops over there at the Fitchburg Star. So Scott, welcome on in. How are you today?
Thank you so much. I'm doing very well. How about you, Preston?
Oh, I'm just doing fantastic. I love Mondays, especially Mondays where I get to come into work. So next Monday is going to be a real bummer for me, let me tell you what. But glad to have you on. And today we are mostly talking about that big old CIP, the Capital Improvement Plan. So what's kind of the scoops?
Yeah, so, that was pretty much the whole council meeting last Tuesday. It was a 4+ hour meeting. They had to extend it a couple times, and almost all of it was discussing amendments to the capital improvement plan. So as a little background quick, that plan is a long-term planning document that kind of outlines capital spending, so new big projects. It really helps the city plan budget-wise for not only the coming budget, but 10 years into the future, so you can see, things that are going to be required. For example, the fire stations that are coming online were in past CIPs, so that allowed the city to kind of structure its finances and debt and items like that around those big projects that they know are going to come up.
So it's the big ticket items, right?
It started earlier this summer. The mayor proposed his capital improvement plan, and then the alders offered amendments earlier this month. And last Tuesday, they debated those amendments, approved a few, rejected a few, and then ended up approving the capital improvement plan as a whole. So the largest amendments that were discussed were, paved shoulders to Wayland Road, which was about $900,000 for added to 2018. And really what that came down to, and that discussion came down to, was safety for bikers and traffic. And the amendment was proposed by 3 alders, Tony Hartman and Tom Clowder in District 4, and then Aaron Richardson in District 3, who all just said, they really cared about safety. And so part of the reason they added that to next year is the city's already planning on doing some resurfacing on Wayland Road, and so they thought there were some potential cost savings to do that all at once with one project. And that project did end up getting added on a 5-3 vote among the alders, so that was among the bigger projects discussed. And then there was also quite a bit of discussion about the Fish Hatchery Road reconstruction. What that really centered around was the plan is under an agreement with the county to reconstruct the road, split the costs on that, but then have jurisdiction transferred to the city, which means the city would then be in charge of maintenance. So long term, there's certainly some potential extra costs for the city. And so some of the alders had a lot of concerns with that, see kind of a pattern of the county getting rid of its responsibility for roads to local municipalities, and the long-term risks there. They ended up not removing that project because basically once as City Administrator Pat Marsh explained, once 2020 comes around and there's a new census, in all likelihood the county would be able to just give the road to the city anyway without splitting any maintenance costs. So right now might be the best deal they can get. That didn't leave alders too happy.
Sure.
As Dan Barr said, who proposed removing the project, we just don't have a lot of good options here. I think a lot of them felt that way, but they ended up leaving the project in because they understood that it's probably the best deal they could get.
Sure.
So a couple of the other things that were discussed included new portable cameras for the police department, just 2 of those. So at a cost of $35,000, those can be put around the city when maybe there's an uptick in crime in an area or things like that. They added $5,000 to the annual traffic calming program, and that's just to help potentially find, if there are more neighborhoods interested in traffic calming, like speed bumps or things like that, having a little extra money for that process and getting those installed, budgeted. So it may not always be used. There weren't necessarily specific projects in mind. A couple alders mentioned a few of them, but they did add the 5,000 in perpetuity. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
So those are some of the highlights from the big CIP meeting there. We appreciate you always, paying extra attention and bringing that information to us. Just real quick, you guys have another issue of your paper coming out shortly, am I right?
Yes, we do. Yeah, that'll be Friday, September 8th. So we're gearing up for production, kind of finalizing our list of stories over here. We're certainly excited. The school year's back, so that's always provides us plenty of copy with the 3 school districts around the city. So
fantastic. Well, make sure you look out in your mailboxes for the latest edition of the Fitchburg Star. Scott, always appreciate you taking some time and joining us on the show. And enjoy the rest of your week here. And I'm sure we'll see you back next month. And then we're going to wrap
Thanks
up.
So much.
No problem, Scott. We're going to wrap up this segment here on Talking Fitchburg, and then we'll be back to wrap up the show. See you then. Talking Fitchburg.